exciting to see what these racers can pull off today.
Actually, I'm being told in chat, zer0rush's new PB was earlier today.
Oh, he's on fire.
And so, looks like we're off.
Perfect.
So as you know, we've got Escape here. Everybody's listening to Zelda, basically telling our runners, blah blah blah, please come save me, blah blah blah, evil wizard, blah blah blah. 6 maidens apart from me have been ritualistically sacrificed to break a seal on the dark world, blah blah blah.
And that's exactly the story of all of our text boxes in this game. We really don't want to really spend any time talking to anybody. We're just trying to get the heck on and move on. And hopefully by the end of this run, about an hour and a half or so from now, have ourselves a nice good old plate of bacon.
True. True. Though I do have to say, I've always wondered this. I wonder what, is going through Zelda's mind. Well, not even Zelda's mind, but one of the things I'm always thinking whenever I get to Zelda is, okay, so good, you're safe. Now, why the heck are Maidens 5 and 6 so important?
Right, so that they have the gatekeeping ability for the double-chested fairy, or we may call her the pyramid fairy.
Yes, yes. I mean, I've just wondered on that one just because, honestly, it's just like, so, Aghanim doesn't care about Zelda that much, except for breaking a seal, so I've always wondered, okay, is there anything going on that I don't want to know about?
Well, I mean, we have, a bunch of crystals. I'm not exactly sure where he finds all of those, rare gemstones. I've never seen a mine here in Hyrule. I guess Death Mountain would be the closest one. A Link Between the Worlds did actually have a mine. But let's get back to the race here, though. We have our runners approaching the first blue guard. In an optimal strategy here, we want to spin, slash, and sometimes just a regular slash afterwards to get them as close to the door as possible. We have to pick up that key and walk through the door. In doing so, if we line it up correctly, we save a bunch of time. Lyra did fall a little bit behind on that part of the split.
It happens. It happens. Trust me. I've seen people just literally go into spin and it ends up being a poke, so it happens. So everybody is going to be picking up the boomerang because, well, it's the boomerang. It's useful.
And not only that, because we skipped the lamp originally in Link's house, we don't have to even do a menu to pick this item in our inventory. This allows us to immediately grab the key with the boomerang and walk through the door with it. Hey, so Magus, how are our runners preventing stair lag?
If I recall correctly, they're just going into stairs directly, cardinally. Because if you run, basically if you nudge yourself into there, you'll lose some time on it. Don't ask me the number of frames. I do not know. Probably someone in chat will be able to answer that.
I think the last I heard was 22, but yeah, I mean, over the course of a run, it saves a fair amount of time. It's definitely, worth doing every single time. It's free. Well, our runners have the princess. We have just a very brief moment of freedom. Princess Zelda is really not going to spend a whole lot of this time on her 2 feet. She's going to mostly be encapsulated in a crystal. But don't worry, folks. In an hour and a half, we'll have her free.
Yeah, not just that, but I've always wondered this. Wait, I just forgot what I was going to say.
No worries, man. I do it all the time.
Oh yeah, now I remember. If she can talk telepathically, why the heck does he spend so much time actually talking to Link on the way out? I mean, hey, if I could talk telepathically, I would just let people know what I was thinking so that way it wouldn't attract the guards.
Well, you got to remember, Magus, this is before the first time we ever had a game try to do that trick to us, which was in Metal Gear Solid when we had the boss thinking that, they had control over your controller. We didn't have a second port to switch to and play this game with, so I don't think they could pull that trick off on SNES hardware.
Yeah, don't forget the whole fact of it took till Breath of the Wild till Zelda actually remembered to talk to Link telepathically all the time.
Hey, shout outs to another fantastic Zelda game. And hey, this whole series, you know, a lot of the great things you see even today in games like that start here with A Link to the Past. If those of you out there haven't played this game casually, absolutely recommend it. And it's a really great game to get you good at games too, because this game is very challenging. We're going to see our runners go through their first instance of RNG down here in the basement. These snakes can spawn in the same position, but they move randomly. Most of our runners do manage to get through with just a small damage boost.
True. And Solid, I'm not even going to try. A runner on the bottom right corner, actually, if he gets hit one more time, he will actually save about half a second just because he gets to skip text boxes coming up.
Oh, I got confirmation elsewhere because I did actually make his name wrong. It's Solidus.
Ah, Solidus then.
Shout out to Green Am, thanks. Here we see on our runner screens they're grabbing the key rat, or the key from the rat. What's the worst case scenario for our runners in that room?
If I recall correctly, it is the top left corner. And basically, top left corner, and if there's more than one rat there.
And if it's you or me, we're probably bumping into the rat a couple times too.
Nope. Solid actually gets to save half a second here because he skips everything the priest is going to say.
Yeah, it does prevent a sound clip from playing. The best explanation I've heard of it is that it's something kind of like Red Bar with the Pokemon speedrun, where the hardware can't do both sounds at the same time, so it just skips over it. You save it, I think you said it was about half a second, right?
Yeah, which is still nice. I mean, it's half a second. When you can save the time just by like taking damage along the way, it's worth it.
And precisely that. We'll see our runners use some instances of damage boosts and even bumper boosts. If you can find a way to propel Link across the screen at the expense of a little bit of damage, hey, no big deal. You know, that's exactly the right thing to do. Most of our runners here got a sub-6 escape. Lyra walking through at about 6:30.
And I know they're probably going to be annoyed as anything on that one. Now you see the Octorok minefield. Basically, every runner, you know, hates these Octoroks because if you get hit by them, that's a heart of damage. If you get hit by one of the rocks, it's half a heart of damage. And oh yeah, they move, you know, randomly on that one.
One thing that you may rarely see runners do is you may see them block some of these rocks with their shield. You heard the clink on zer0rush's audio feed. The basic shield can actually block that and regular arrows.
Don't forget the spears launched by the red guards later on. Also, you'll also notice on all of our runners' side them at least doing the one form of pumping that every runner does, and that is stair pumping, because when you're sandwiched between two stairs, at least going north, you'll always want to be hitting left and right while holding up, because it literally saves a lot of time. I think it was, what, over 12 seconds-ish? Or something like that, just getting to... yeah, you're right, it's depending on how well you do, but yeah, it's one of those things you will see all of our runners use.
You'll also notice that this is like a main feature of Link's movement in general. When Link is moving left or up, Link starts his walk animation at 2 pixels per frame. When he moves right or down, he starts his walk animation at 1 pixel per frame. It alternates between 2 and 1 no matter which direction you're moving in cardinal directions, but if you were to mash certain D-pad directions, you can optimally make as many 2 pixel per frame movements as you can. So our runners, when they're moving in those directions, left or up, you're going to see them, if they have a small angle to go towards, they're going to mash those buttons.
Did you say about not explaining pumping?
Yeah, it kind of happens no matter what. I might be a hypocrite.
I know. Oh, it's cool. It's cool. I know our fans are just used to it by now. So coming up...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Yours is probably more interesting. You're talking about the damage boost, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say, you'll see our runners either get hit by the Popo, pull up a pot, and then grab the big key, or get hit by the anti-fairies and pull up a pot and get the big key. Basically, this room is long. Since we can lift up that pot while in iframes, we do it.
You'll also notice that the reason we bump into the Popo and not the Anti-Fairies in the first place is because the Popo only does half of a heart of damage, as opposed to the Anti-Fairy, which does a whole heart. So as a backup, you can walk into the Anti-Fairies directly, it's just much riskier.
True, but it's also a lot more consistent. So, yeah,
that's also true. There. Now that our runners have the bow, though, we're going to go through the first Igor room. It's the dark room on the way up to the back half of Eastern Palace. We're going to have a couple more instances of RNG to deal with here. The biggest one being the Zelda Gamer Room, which is coming up in the room after the one zer0rush is in. These cannonballs you see spawn are going to spawn in random patterns. All we have to do is get to that switch and take as little damage as possible while getting through smoothly. He had good RNG there.
Very true. And beautiful, it's not Stalfos Room, but I guess Stalfos Red Igor Room.
Yeah, that one can be tough. Those skeletons give you weird patterns sometimes.
And we're into Armos. More than likely, almost all of our runners will get the quick kill on him. That's one quick kill for zer0rush.
Looks like Solidus might have missed the last arrow on the last Armos. If you let the Armos recover from the last arrow shot that he took, he'll actually re-heal as he goes into the enraged phase. One thing we'll also want to notice is Lyra, having a little bit of trouble with the damage skip, managed to clear out the room instead, which is the longer way. This is going to cost about a minute or so for the time spent, though.
Yes, very true, but hopefully they will be able to catch up. Now, on zer0rush's side, you will see him chatting with an old man, and basically he'll be giving our runners the shoes off his feet, which gives us the ability to dash.
I'm of the belief that these shoes are actually a little more common in Hyrule because, like, every one of your followers, with the exception of, like, the old man and the bomb, all seem to have the fast shoes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Even Blind has them.
Which makes you wonder why the heck you couldn't just have stolen them from Zelda.
You know, come to think of it, I mean, you normally wouldn't have boots in the basement, but, you know, in other game modes that we play, like Randomizer, yeah, I mean, Zelda can follow you, so, I mean, she could have given you the boots.
True. Anyway, you'll see our runners on their way to get the Book of Adora, and you'll more than likely see all of them, actually pulling off the spin speed, while Lyra is just on their way to the Armos Knights.
Song leaves in chat asking why boots help you run faster. If you think that's the one thing about this game that's the hardest to explain, well, there's a long list of other things.
Yeah, like, why? Well, no, we can't explain fake flippers, we can't explain spin speed, we can explain, I guess what we can't explain is why a monkey loves rupees and charges us a lot of money for just getting into a dungeon.
You know, on a lore level, maybe Kiki was something else in the light world before the Sacred Land was turned into the Dark World.
Don't know. Do not know at all.
Our runners have picked up their book for the most part. Lyra's finishing up the Armos fight. The nice thing about the Desert Palace that we're going to next is that we have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of these boots. They're going to be dashing a whole lot.
Very true. I guess it makes the old song about these boots were made for walking. I guess it's more along the lines of these boots were made for running.
One of these days, these boots are going to dash all over you?
Yeah, more than likely.
Usually when I do a dash dance, it's after a good boss fight, and then I miss the catch.
It is what it is. I always just wondered why, you have to pray to the gods to actually get them to move these, would you say they're giant rocks or faces? Because I'm not even sure there.
Statues?
Yeah, but they look more like mechanical things than statues.
I think they're meant to represent Lamolus. I just never really saw it until just now.
Not sure. Anyway, you'll see on zer0rush's side, picking up the key by bonking near a torch. Basically, the game, since you're by the torch, it'll detect that and basically let you get the key.
Yeah, you'll notice that we nudge against the torch on the way past, so I'm not exactly sure the technical reason behind it, but that is exactly how you arm it. That's a great description. One thing our runners have done differently, and you may notice this on these runner screens, is 3 of our runners don't have a lot of rupees, 1 has none. zer0rush appropriately having 0. Lyra, however, has 336 leaving Eastern Palace. Lyra chose to pick up rupees in Eastern, as well as back of Sahaswada's hut. This may be in an effort to avoid one of the chests in Village of Outcasts later in the run.
I'm betting also that they are probably going to buy the bottle as well.
Actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I agree with you on that one. Now, our other runners will have to still get 110 rupees in order to enter Palace of Darkness after we go to the Dark World, so they'll be using a very interesting strategy we'll describe when we get there, but they're going to be pulling on some trees. Money does grow on trees in Hyrule.
Yes, it does. I wish it grew on trees in the real world too, but it doesn't. And
really nice desert spin speed.
Yes, the most dangerous spin speed in the game. If you fall to it, you're basically set back over a minute.
Not only that, but it's really difficult to avoid falling when you're in that like super speed animation, or the spin speed state, because as soon as you press against the ledge, Link automatically hops you.
Yes, that is true. Lyra on their way to pick up their book.
It looks like we're backtracking here. I think Lyra forgot.
That is true. But it's something that does happen every now and then. Just be glad it's not something later in the game, like, say, the ice rod.
Absolutely. That's a much more punishing to forget. Wow.
True. And it does look like Lyra is going to be picking up the bug net and the bottle now, which is basically commonly referred to as getting the Helma Fairy, which is kind of very useful for a lot of runners, that are worried about Helma Sore.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more difficulty as we enter the Dark World, and it's good to prepare for that. In the meantime, though, 3 of our runners are all on Lammolis. One thing you'll notice on Kolthor's screen is they're all going to spawn in the same position, but their flight path is random. So we're going to try and pump as many arrows in the first cycle as possible. Each one of these worms takes 4, and then the equivalent sword slashes instead if you run out of arrows. The ideal fight is around 3 or 4 cycles. Not surprising to see any runner get more than like 6 or 7, though.
Very true. Very, very true. And therefore, runners have picked up their pendant of wisdom. No, wait, power in this game, if I recall correctly, because red is wisdom in the old Zeldas.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. They changed the color scheme over the years.
Very true.
Another story here, though. I mean, our bottom race between Kolthor and Solidus is very tight. They're within one screen of each other.
True. You'll probably see all of our runners doing the fake flippers. Essentially, the game doesn't check, if you transition in water, if you don't have flippers, for about a frame. So we stand about a frame from there and transition, and hey, the game thinks we now have flippers.
It just so happens that this bush here is lined perfectly for us to go diagonally northeast and just get the lineup every single time.
First time, every time.
Using that whirlpool with fake flippers is going to save you about 8 to 10 seconds against an optimal West Side Breeze strat, we call it, where you take the west side of Hyrule Castle up towards Death Mountain. It's a little bit dangerous, though, because if you get hit while you're in the water, you soft lock. So it's very important that our runners don't get damaged there.
Actually, there is a sort of way to prevent it, but that's a random chance in and of itself, because basically you have to transition from one screen to the other. At least, I've noticed this. You'll transition from where you would normally flute to 8 over and then back and get hit. It will drop you off on the land, and you can still technically drop back in as long as you don't hit any other button.
Now, thankfully, as a backup and as a safety for the sake of the tournament, you are allowed to save and quit in that instance only. In the group phase, we are allowed to just simply continue from Link's house. When the single elimination bracket comes around, it's actually just going to be you have to walk all the way back to the bush and then resume from there.
not just that, but you also have to slash the bush, too.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, though, what happens if you do it without slashing the bush? Can you just straight up ignore the bush?
I mean, I think the spirit of the idea is that you didn't exploit it.
True.
With
Anyway,
that, the runners are heading to Hera.
Yep, with zer0rush being the first runner into Hera on and Kothor's race, you'll see them both just getting past Bunny Link the one and only time, and then you'll see them entering Hera right now as well.
Now, of course, being realistic, there's 4 runners here. I think we'll probably end up seeing the bunny again.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But that is the only time we're forced to on the overworld. That is exactly what he meant.
True. Let's see what Cannonball RNG Lyra gets. And some decent ones. And nice boom dash for zer0rush's side. Taking the quote-unquote coffee break, I guess?
I feel like you earn a break if you can pull that off.
Very true. So we have 2 of our runners. They're taking a coffee break. One of them choosing to boom the actual blocks, and Lyra just about to pick up their power gloves. So they'll soon be playing with power.
Well, but I'm a little upset with zer0rush. I mean, he was the first one to have his coffee break, and he didn't even refill the coffee pot for our friends in the bottom side.
True.
He didn't waste any time. He was just right out the door. So our runners have our first bomb jump of the run. Do you mind explaining how the bomb jump works for the setup?
Sure thing, not a problem. Essentially, you get right near the edge of the pit that is blocking the way to the Moon Pearl, place a bomb, and essentially, if you don't bonk, it's a 2-pixel window. If you do bonk, essentially, it ups it to 6. And nice bomb jump on zer0rush's side. Didn't even need the bonk, so that's a 2-pixel window.
One way a lot of runners will set that up is they'll kind of cancel a dash against the edge, and if you do it right, you can get like at the closest possible pixel. I'm not good at that myself, though. If you're learning bomb jumps for the first time, I recommend using the bonk strategy. Just make sure you don't bonk too early.
Or you can always also hold out your sword and back up like that, and it does help as well.
zer0rush is our first into the Moldorm fight. He almost falls into the middle hole. That's the worst thing you can do in this fight. You'll fall down 2 floors if you do that.
Oh, and he's got to be careful. He's down to
one more hit. Oh my goodness.
He's got it. Shoulder him down on zer0rush's side.
I think that man knew we had game audio on him, because, like, I mean, he's making us... I mean, he's making me flip out over here.
True.
Looks like Lyra's doing the Lammolas fight right now. Kothor did use the safety switch, which is really nice, and Solidus finishes up Moldorm without any real problems.
Very true. Now, zer0rush is on his way to pick up his Master Sword.
It looks like Lyra has arrows, but is resorting to the sword because it's a little easier to make the connection. When you have the arrows, it's easy to get hit on accident.
Very true. So Landwell down for shoulder him down for 3 of our 4 runners, and you'll see zer0rush picking up his first set of 20 rupees from the magical mystical tree that gives money.
Like we mentioned before, money does grow on trees here in Hyrule. You'll notice that it was blue rupees the first time, and he's also avoiding taking any damage here because he needs to kill 4 enemies before he does his next tree pull. If he does so without taking damage, the next tree pull will be red rupees, putting him over the 110 that he needs in order to get into Palace of Darkness.
Because everybody's favorite extortionist monkey is basically guarding the entrance to Palace of Darkness. I'd say get your pedestal emotes in chat, but this isn't rando. Then again, it is the pedestal.
Look, you gotta have hype for that. I mean, they put a whole soliloquy on the front. I wish I could read Japanese to see what it was in Japanese, though.
Very true.
And Lyra does finish up the Moldorm fight. Good on, or well done on that. That's a really random fight, and when it gets off the rails, it's really hard to recover.
Very true.
And chat pointing out that the ferry is already paid off. So, folks, if you're looking to get into speedruns out there, I definitely recommend you pick up the safeties. It's much easier to try to work on having a deathless run before you work on trying to be, sub any particular time increment.
Very true. Very true. I know for the longest time I kept, having horrible Moldorm runs, and for the longest time I did think about grabbing that ferry, but at the same point, I would also take a lot of deaths, so first thing I did was just work on trying to survive. Which means adding like net bottle and a bunch of other things until you absolutely think you need, are good enough.
Also, shout out to Lyra showing us the west side strats to head up to Death Mountain. Looks like we might be stopping for something here in Kakariko. No, we're just heading right up there.
Yes. Normally, though, you would basically take the reverse of the Aghanim route in order to get up there a bit faster, but either way works, I guess.
Yeah, just a little bit roundabout. We got the scenic route.
Very true. And zer0rush is our first runner into Aga Tower. I'm pretty sure he will do the prize pack manipulation.
It looked like it. It seemed like he was trying to preserve his arrows there.
Very true.
Well, he killed an extra guard, but it didn't drop anything, so the prize pack incrementation should be fine.
Very true. Now, so on this side, he does get the prize pack manipulation, and over on Uthor's side, he is just about to head into Aga Tower. Lyra is escorting their old man, and is just about to pick up their magic mirror.
I think we might have got dead rocked here.
Yeah, it's annoying. They have to just try to dodge those giant green cabbages.
Ouch.
Oh no! But don't worry, they got a ferry.
The other good thing, too, is now that they've returned the old man to his cave, they could actually start from there.
Very true. And over on zer0rush's side, he's just about, to Agha's floor. So I guess chat, in a little bit, you can start giving him your blue ball guesses.
One thing we'll have to look out for on his screen is he is out of arrows, so walking into Palace of Darkness, he's either going to have to look for a good drop for arrows or pick up some backup pharaohs, or the arrows here in Circle of Pots. That was a smart decision.
Yes. There's also the arrows down the room that you would normally have to walk up to get to the big key. The two bottom pots in there are basically a 5-arrow drop and a bomb.
I'm going to remember that. I'm taking notes. So Song leaves in chat asking about save and quit not being allowed. Death warping is allowed in dungeons, but if it's going to emulate a save and quit, it's not. Like in the overworld, you can't do that.
Yeah. Basically, if you do take a death, though, in the overworld, you can still save and continue, but it's got to be not intentionally.
Two of our runners are about to walk into the Aghanim 1 fight. We call it Aghanim 1 because we will have a rematch later on in the run, closer to an hour from now. In this fight, we have 5 different attacks in the cycle that Aghanim does. The first attack is a guaranteed reflectable shot. You can always, knock this one back. It's a good old classic game of Zelda volleyball. Attacks 2, 3, and 4 are a 50% chance between a blue ball, which we cannot reflect, and a reflected ball, which we can do damage with. And the 5th one is always a lightning attack, which we can't do anything with. We need to hit him 6 times, so in the best case scenario, assuming we only get, say, the first shot, the worst we could do is... I'm sorry, not the best case scenario. The worst case scenario would be 15 blue balls. I'm not going to say who that happened to, but...
I don't know, from what I've heard, that's more than one runner. The one runner just ended up having it twice.
Oh, no. Yeah, by the way, that's I think it's 3 in 10,000 chance. I saw them. There's the math somewhere. I'm going to check for the Helmasaur King, or the Helbasaur King link.
Very true. So three of our four runners are in Aga 2 or in Aga 1, and Lyra getting the coffee break strats is on their way up Hera.
Hey, so Magus, why are they knocking Aghanim towards the center in general if they can help it?
Basically because it apparently just cuts down on the time it takes for him to warp. So that's at least what I've heard. But I've really never noticed it myself. Right.
One way to look at it is, Aghanim may choose to simply warp all the way across the room. If that's going to happen, it's going to be the fastest if he starts from the center.
Very true. And so you have zer0rush, Solidus, and now Kothor just about to go into the Dark World, getting the telepathic message from Solidus saying, "Hey, you're in the Dark World. Go to this place and start rescuing maidens."
Yep, our cutscenes start to get a little bit longer after this. We're going to have a couple of chats with... Link's a pretty lucky bachelor. I mean, he talks to over 7 women in this game.
Very true. Never thought of it that way.
I don't think the game intends for you to think about it that way, really.
Oh no, there's a lot of things this game does not intend you to think about. But then again, I always found this amusing. So, item dashing is only a 1.0 trick only, yet it's a Ocarina of Time as a actual common, place strat.
How do you mean by that? Are you talking about like having Z targeting out?
Yeah, I was just talking about, when you're carrying an item, just basically being able to just run with it.
Oh, I see what you mean. I was a little confused. No, that makes sense though. Our runners are approaching Palace of Darkness, with the exception of Lyra, who is about to fight Moldorm. Has to get the Moon Pearl first. This is where we get to see those 110 rupees go into effect. Kothor has to be a little careful, though, because if he gets hit with Kiki following him, he has to go get another 10 rupees, which would be devastating at this point.
Yeah, that is going to be devastating, but knowing Kothor, he'll probably just take it easy and make sure that he delivers the monkey.
All right, package delivered. Perfect. Well, here in the Palace of Mirrors, of Darkness, we have a pretty exciting trick coming up. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
What, you mean the hammer jump, the thing that I hate the most in the game?
I'm kind of in the same camp as you there, but it is very fun to watch.
Basically, it is a 2 wide pixel perfect trick. Basically, you have to place the bomb on the correct Y pixel, and Link's got to be on the correct Y pixel, and if you do it properly, you can bomb yourself across the gap and pick up the hammer without, having to go around the basement.
And yeah, exactly that. There's a dark room in the basement and the maze you have to walk through. So, it's a pretty big time save. One of the interesting things about how this works is that the game doesn't expect Link to be able to clip through a railing through the side of the railing. It's just a movement that's never designed for. So we get to exploit this when we do this bomb jump. I believe it works in all versions. I heard some discussion about that before, but Solidus is the first to attempt it.
I do have to say, though, if you are 1 pixel down, you will land through the railing, but you cannot get through, but you can't get up to the chest.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Solidus pulls it off in one try. Looks like zer0rush is setting up pretty well for it.
Oh no,
Either Link was too low by 1 pixel or the bomb was up by 1 pixel.
True, if it was too low, you would see him, bomb over to it, but not be able to get into the little land area for it.
zer0rush just mirrored because he switched to mirror after using that bomb before.
Wow. Then again, I think I saw one of our other runners in one of our other races also do that by accident.
Yeah, that's a frustrating thing. So, we're doing this to save some time with the menu transition. It's at a point where you already have to wait. It's just really rough because, you can do that right after a boss if you press too early. You can do it in this situation where you did actually do the trick. And now he has to actually use an extra bomb on the wall.
True. And you'll see our bottom pair picking up... Well, you'll just see zer0rush picking up M-Chan's hammer. You'll see Kothor picking up his key, and you'll see this going towards the turtle room.
In the meantime, just to update you on Lyra. Lyra is currently picking up Master Sword, who will be taking on Aghanim shortly.
The Sword of Evil's Bane.
Just like May just mentioned, the turtle room that Solidus just walked through, a very dangerous place for our runners. They're only going to take 1 heart damage from each turtle, but they're very hard to kill because they have a very weird hitbox. So using the hammer there to great effect, it looks like Solidus got through cleanly. We'll move on to the Helmasaur fight.
Basically 4 bombs, 17 hammer hits. If I recall correctly, the developers intended you to use bombs, not the hammer.
You know, I hear very different opinions about that. I grew up thinking it was bombs myself.
I believe that's what the old player's guide said as well. I'd have to pull out my copy, but yeah, I believe it is bombs.
Yo, but Solid is getting a really good phase 2 on that. So when Helmasaur King becomes enraged after taking the shell off, the Helmasaur King can do all of its attacks at once. It can move, swipe you with the tail, or even use a fireball. In that particular scenario, Solidus walked right up to his face pretty much and started hammering right on that little jewel in the front. It's a very difficult hitbox to get, and not only that, but holding out the sword extends that hitbox. Our other 2 runners on the left are going to be doing their turtle room now.
And a beautiful turtle room for zer0rush. I believe Kothor did a very, near perfect turtle room as well.
Yeah, they're framed for pretty near.
Basically, he's talking to his first maiden.
Link, help, help, your princess is in another crystal.
Basically, almost the same RNG for both Kothor and zer0rush right now. And helmet down for Kothor.
zer0rush with the crazy dodges, breaking Helmasaur King's ankles.
Out. Solidus getting hit by the quote-unquote murder-dactyl.
Hey, I'm just relieved to see that all 3 of these runners got through the Helmasaur King fight cleanly. We'll see how Lyra does with it when Lyra gets there. Shortly after Aghanim, but that's just the very close fight for both of our runners on the left.
Very true. Solidus is on his way to pick up. Well, first talk to the flute boy, pick up the shovel, then dig up a flute.
I think this is Nintendo's version of Pinocchio.
I personally just wonder how the heck the flute actually still works after being buried.
That's a really good question. It shouldn't. It's a wind instrument.
So I guess we'll do the usual meme of they're going to go see Usain Bolt, the fastest guard in all of Hyrule. Let's just hope they can dodge him, yada yada yada, onto the flute.
I hear the Olympic community wants to investigate Link for doping after he walks right past him there.
Yeah, maybe not. So this aside, he's going to go, activate his flute. Again, how the heck can you do that when it's covered in dirt?
I mean, it's not like we walk past any bodies of water at any point. There's no suspense of disbelief here, Nintendo. I don't know who you thought you were pulling wool over anybody's eyes with.
Well, I guess he could try to shake it out vigorously or hold it up to his mouth and blow the dirt out, but I doubt it. And nice spin speed for Solidus on his way to the Dark World and Thieves Town.
Well, look, I mean, it's either that or Link has the most powerful lungs on Earth and just, ejected all of that dirt.
True. Better question, though, is since the flute boy, since it's his instrument, did he actually disinfect it first?
May just ask some hard-hitting questions.
Well, hey, it's true on that one. And Lyra is on their way, just about to agate him.
Just like May just mentioned, this is a really important spin speed. When we pass this guard, it's very difficult to get past him without taking a tremendous amount of damage, because he does run a lot faster than you can walk.
Very true, though you could also just dodge past him normally, but, you know, either way works. Although,
yeah, I mean, you
honestly,
can even boomerang.
True, but that would require a menu to do it.
Exactly, so that's why it's big for our runners to get that spin speed.
And I can guarantee you the number of blue balls for Lyra. 0.
You know, it looks like we had some synchronized quacks on the screen there for a minute.
True. As I said, chat, you can make a guess about the number of blue balls for Lyra, but I'm straight up going to tell you, it's 0. According to what I heard, it's hard-coded in the game if you have taken a death that it's going to be 0.
You heard it here, folks. Wait, is that a real thing? That's not a real thing, is it?
Yes, it is.
I'm
about that one
genuinely
during
curious as to whether or not you're
race.
pulling one over on me.
Nope, I heard that during, someone mentioned it during Skrivo's race.
Alright, so somebody was messing with you.
Nah, more than likely I just forgot that they haven't taken a true death because of all the fairies.
Ah, I see. Well, regardless of all that, we do have blue balls in this run so far, so chat, you had an opportunity to guess. You can continue to guess if you'd like to. You know, we could still have quite a few left.
And someone in chat making the joke about whenever Link blows the flute/ocarina, they didn't really ever see him actually put it to his mouth.
To be fair, I mean, it doesn't really sound that much like an ocarina, in my opinion.
Anyway, Lyra is just now entering the Dark World. Solidus is just about to rescue his maiden. And zer0rush and Kothor are just about to enter the Hellway.
There is exactly one pixel they can line up in the exact center of the room called the God Pixel. Even if you do get it, you'll dash through, but if you don't have good RNG with those enemies, you can just get stopped anyway. Getting it, though, looks really great.
Very true. And basically, you'll see our zer0rush and Kothor just about to bomb open a room, let the sun in, and then we'll be able to go towards their Titansmiths.
And Solidus is actually already at the blind fight. So blind is a pretty straightforward, very consistent fight. It takes 3 hits per head. It's going to pop off its head and give us another one in just a moment. The key here is to hit the head as fast as possible, you know, between, say, the invincibility frames it gets. The faster you do this, the more consistent the fight is, and the easier it is to keep track of. Solidus did very well to stay on top of that. Did take a couple of hits, but managed to stay in control of the fight.
Very true. Lyra just about to pay their super extortionist monkey and get into pod.
As of right now, Lyra does have enough rupees to only have to pick up one more chest just for the 500 needed for the flippers. Remains to be seen if they'll pick up the other one to have some, like, potion safety later on.
I have a point there. Again with the sync with zer0rush and Kothor. Solidus is talking to his second maiden. Wait, did Kothor just actually dash up to the top, immediately turn without, changing direction at all? I know you can do that, but I never saw anybody just get up there and immediately just, during a spin, during a dash, just straight up turn without even needing to change directions.
I'm not 100% on it, but I want to say it has to do with the conveyors.
Either way, it's a neat trick.
Yeah, you don't see stuff like that very often in this game.
Anytime you see something neat, it's basically just like, okay, how did that happen? And the answer to most things is it's just Zelda.
Got that right. And just like being just Zelda, both of our runners on the left side have completed yet another dungeon. The blind fight bringing Kolthor down to about half health, but stayed on top of things. All of our runners seem to have done a lot of practice on this boss.
Very true. While Solidus is rescuing his dwarf and is just about to pick up the tempered sword, as has been stated several times, Hyrule Economy. A good sword, 10 rupees. Got a giant bomb, 100. Being able to actually swim, 500.
You don't even get scuba lessons. Like, I mean, you'd think you'd get a little bit more for that.
Well, technically, if I recall correctly, King Zor does allow you to use the whirlpools, but it's not like we weren't using them already.
Which makes me think, like, I mean, did we just, like, break open the back door of the whirlpool system? Like, is it kind of like hacking into, like, like a secure keypad?
Not sure.
Looks like Lyra's going to forego the bomb jump or the hammer jump. Not a bad idea, though, because, I mean, if you're not, confident with it, it's much better to just take the consistent route than to take a death just trying to pull something off.
Very true. Though I will point out, as I showed this off during my last race, when you go into the basement, just for the fact, this chest is the key. The other chest is the quote-unquote single arrow. For those runners that have always wanted to know where that arrow is.
Easily the most important chest of the game. We'll also notice that Lyra did take the time to pick up all of the rupees down there. Assuming that we get decent RNG drops throughout the rest of from here until they get the flippers, they may just completely skip the chests in Village of Outcasts.
I'm betting you that they will pick up just one.
And that would be the very safe route. Later on, they could choose to use the flute to come back to the potion shop at any time. Story of the stream so far, though. zer0rush and Kolthor, frame for frame. They're in perfect sync right now.
Very true. They're picking up their tempered sword, which is the highest sword you will see most of our runners take. Basically, it's very effective. It's very useful, and on Solidus' side, you see him just about to, picking up the bomb instead of bonking. You'll basically see him, jump across this hole with another bomb jump, and then picking up his fire rod.
The tough part about that bomb jump is it's very easy to accidentally pick up the bomb. Solidus did that in the first attempt, and then it was very hard to set up the lineup afterwards. There's not a lot of space where you can turn in place and dash. One way that he may have been able to avoid that is by starting the dash facing forward, like towards the pit, and then turning in the middle of the dash animation.
Very true. Though he does get lucky and does manage to pick up a fairy from those bushes.
Yeah, that's a great drop. All of our runners at full health. Nice to see.
Yes, agreed.
Hey, so did we just miss like half of Skull Woods? That was quick.
Basically, if you know where the big key is, and how to get to the big chest without really doing much, Skull is basically a breeze.
We see one of the hardest rooms here out of Solidus' screen, taking care of these Gibdo mummies in the hall. If you do that room well, you don't take any damage, and he did exactly that. He even still has some extra magic from Mothula.
One of the most annoying bosses in the game. I mean, he's immune to the best weapon in the game, which is not developer intended. He's just in a room full of spikes. The Butter Sword deals spike class damage, so because he's immune to spikes, he's immune to the Butter Sword.
And Solidus had such a good start to his Mothula fight, it was done before we even were able to explain it. This happens a lot in this game. Mothula can either go really well or really badly, as Magus alluded to. The best way to start this fight is to do a quick poke dash into the block just north of where you spawn in the floor, or where you fall to. Because he's not touching the spike at that point, your damage does register, and the poke dash allows you to do up to 2 hits if you do it really well. And like May just mentioned, you want to keep Mothula in the center of the room so that you don't accidentally override your damage with the spikes.
Very true. And Lyra, in their Helmasaur fight, got the mask broken.
Oh no, with one heart.
I think they've got a fairy, which is very.
Hey, there we go.
Helma Fairy paying off.
Shout outs to the safeties that keep you in the race.
True. Considering that the Helma Fairy is, one of the best, fairies to get if you're always worried about Helmasaur.
Zero in a little bit of trouble here, but does manage to clutch it out without taking any extra damage when we only had 2 hearts left. Holy smokes. Coulthard with only 3.
And Mothula down for Kothor. While on Lyra's side, they have beaten Helmasaur and are picking up their first maiden. Whilst Solidus is on his way to pick up Quake and to see King Zora about a pair of flippers.
Coulthor was really smart there. The spikes had already crossed the room at the north side of the room, so there was a gap there where slashing Mothula was guaranteed to actually do damage. If things do go south, if you look for that hole or that opportunity, you may actually be able to get extra slashes in where you normally wouldn't be able to.
And I have to say again, the sync for and zer0rush is basically, again, just about the same.
Yeah, they've been within a screen, within a few frames. This has been really tight. Now, they're not directly racing each other. Just want to clarify, it's zer0rush versus Lyra and Coulthor versus Solidus, but it's very interesting to see these runners this tight. Looks like zer0rush attempted the quick warp there at the bridge. Didn't get it, though.
You'll see our runners picking up the flippers right now, then off to Ice Palace.
So once you've completed Palace of Darkness, there's really nothing stopping you from going in some pretty unusual orders with these dungeons. We found that for routing reasons, this is the order that makes the most sense if you're going to carry the Tempered Sword all the way to Ganon. However, if you were going to pick up Gold Sword or Silver Arrows, you may elect to do Misery Mire or Swamp a little bit earlier than you would other dungeons. All of our runners appear to be taking this route. We'll see from Lyra whether or not we have a route divergence after Palace of Darkness, or more likely after Skullwoods.
More than likely, I could see them maybe going for the Butter Sword, but I'm going to hold off with explaining that whole route, for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. We might not even see it.
True. Though, on Kothor's side, you do see him bonk off the rocks there after throwing in an item. That is basically because it's a free setup for a Quick Warp. Quick Warp, of course, basically being the ability to warp very quickly. Basically, I don't even remember the exact number of frames, though, but it does save time throughout the entire run.
About half a second, I think, total. For each one, I mean. You did mention the Hyrule economy. I noticed that the the Quake monster seemed to have paid you off. I wonder if this was for protection. Is Link part of some kind of secret mafia here?
Don't know. I do know, however, that shoutouts to anybody that is a fan of the Game Theorist. He actually did an entire video explaining what the Quake monster really is.
I'm probably going to look that up after this. I'm a fan of that series, too.
Basically, if I recall correctly, he is supposed to represent a Japanese deity.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, so for a lot of people who, didn't grow up with this game, of course, it's made by Nintendo. A lot of Japanese culture references. I mean, the Zora, for example, probably also along the same lines there. You see pretty much that in all of the, art style of the series. But, we are running on the Japanese 1.0 version. If nobody knows or if anybody doesn't know, the reason we do that is for a couple of different reasons. The text is faster in Japanese, and we also have a lot of 1.0 exclusive glitches. Definitely encourage you to read up a little bit on it by checking out the speedrun leaderboard on speedrun.com. There's a lot of guides there that'll give you more information.
Not just that, but even on the Discord on that one, I'm pretty sure someone could drop a link for that in chat. And so this is at the Ice Palace bomb jump. Basically, if you need any other... Well, if you basically want to play this game even casually, the Ice Palace bomb jump is just worth knowing.
Just like our Palace of Darkness jump for the hammer, it's 2 perfect Y-axis pixel placements, so Link and the bomb need to be in a pretty precise spot there. You want to be basically against the edge of the pit. Doing so within 3 or so different configurations will get you across the pit each time. The reason we do this is because there's a switch right before we get to this room that if we have these pegs up will allow us to skip like half the dungeon, as Magus was alluding to. We'll see it as they approach the fight here. You see it on Solidus' screen. We would normally have to, in the next room, come back to this point by backtracking through the entire dungeon. This saves a ton of time.
Not just that, but even Nintendo themselves basically said, hey, look, there's ways around this. Go get the Canis Maria.
Yes, and that is another reason that some runners may elect to go to Misery Mire first, is because that's a very handy way to skip that. You would still be able to access it if you didn't do the bomb jump.
And Rat Cold Stare, the giant... Would you call him a snowball ice cream puff? I'm not sure on that one.
Either way, though, we want to get 6 slashes on this after the first spin slash. Solidus wrapping it up very nicely. Had a whole hit to spare. Those Cold Stare eyeball puffs, or whatever we want to call them, do 4 hearts of damage when they hug you, so it's very important to avoid that. Now, it looks like zer0rush is very close to full magic. Okay, he should be able to do this. There is a alternate strategy you can do with full health, but he didn't have the sword beams. Yeah,
basically, if you Fire Rod Cold Stare and then immediately follow up with a sword beam, depending on where you are, I know it'll work, especially if you're directly in front of him, it will count that sword beam as a Fire Rod shot. So it's a handy way to actually get through the first phase while still having some magic left over.
And also, of course, as a recovery if you don't have enough magic. Both of those are really great reasons to learn that strategy. I recommend picking it up.
Agreed. I think Low Percent actually tries to do that in there so that way they can make the fight easier for them.
Yeah, because having that ranged combat at the end is much easier if things don't go right with the slashes.
And Kothor into his Cold Stare fight.
Very
and
nice.
Cold Stare down for him. Solidus on his way to Swamp. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
Well, on Lyra's side, they are in Thieves Town, just about to pick up their big key.
Yo, shoutouts to Max Rupees.
Agreed. I know when I was a kid playing this game, I always wanted Max Rupees, even after paying the 500.
Lyra is balling out of control over here. Lyra will also have a couple of opportunities to refill that fairy if they haven't already. There's a room coming up the next room coming up they'll be able to. And also they'll have another opportunity in the Hellway before we even get to Blind. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities to use that powder here. It's very handy to have that safety at this point.
Very true. Now, on zer0rush's side, you'll see the only instance of us entering the dam at all. Or at least we all hope it'll be our only instance of entering the dam. Oh wait, we can't soft lock. Unlike the randomizer, we can't flood a key.
Well, that being said, though, the worst happens and they die or something, have to leave to grab something. Who knows? I mean, you don't want to ever have to reflood or redrain the dam is a good point to make.
Agreed, because it is a very long cutscene.
Swamp Palace here is a great part of the run for our runners. Not a whole lot to talk about on our end, to be honest with you, but it's kind of a break for our runners. One thing you'll notice you may be asking is, why in the world are they going to Dungeon 2 as Dungeon 5? That doesn't make any sense. Well, actually, it makes a lot of sense as far as saving time goes. Because we picked up the Hot Cheeto Sword, or the Tempered Sword as we actually call it, we're able to do a lot more damage when we're fighting the boss. We can destroy the puffs in one hit instead of two, and everything else in this dungeon is a breeze because of it.
Very true. Very true. And now you'll see on Solidus's, Kothor's, and zer0rush's side that they're on the way to pick up the hook shot real soon.
It's almost a shame that we aren't able to pick up the hookshot sooner. You know, I mean, you can route it in sooner. It's very handy for a lot of speed tricks. The unfortunate thing about it is that, for the most part, it wouldn't save enough time. We save more time by simply having a faster boss fight and doing this at a convenient routing juncture rather than, you know, setting up for it. It's good to do this before you go up to Misery Mire to get the ether, just because you can do a sword climb, but you also really only want to do that if you're not going to take any damage.
Very true. Plus, also, it forgot what I was going to say, but basically, the hook shot also gives you iframes.
Yeah, that's a really handy trick too.
And Lyra on their blind fight, just about near the end of it, taking a death when I'm pretty sure they have a fairy.
The tough thing about that fight is that the fireballs only do one shot of damage, and that's what you're trying to avoid generally, even when you're tracking everything on the screen. The heads do 2 hearts of damage if you take a hug, so this is a pretty close fight so far, and does manage to wrap it up. Very nice.
Very good for Lyra. They rescue their second maiden and are going to be on their way to pick up their Tito sword, bread sword, whatever you want to call it.
I recently heard it get called a bacon sword. I don't feel like it's wavy enough, though.
Nah, but I guess if you want to call it bread, basically by the end of the game, if you do pick up a butter sword, you could call it the grilled cheese and bacon sword. But you have the bread, then you have the cheese, then you have the bacon at the very end.
The stream makes our viewers hungry.
Agreed.
One thing we didn't get to see zer0rush do there is an attempt at the hookshot clip that you can do. It's not a clip, but you can do a really nice lineup. When you walk up that staircase, you can move to the right a little bit to align with the statue, and if you walk straight to the chest from there, and then down right in a diagonal, you'll have the lineup every single time. You do see him do a hook dash here, though, allows him to pick up the pot underneath that statue. First try every time.
Correct, and Solidus is just about into their Argus fight. I do not know whether or not if they're going to attempt the Zero Cycle or not. Basically, if you item dash, never mind. Looks like they were just about to go for it, but decided to not. But
yeah, it almost looked like it.
Essentially, going in there, hold out your sword, press both dash and the hook shot at the same time, and if you're lucky, you will keep the sword out and you just keep spamming the hook shot, and you'll be able to essentially, you know, poke dash all the puffs, you know, basically killing the boss a lot faster.
If you do it perfectly, Argus won't even do the spinning attack with the puffballs once. We call it a zero cycle. Let's see if zer0rush can get the zero cycle.
And on zer0rush's side, you saw him actually, you're seeing him right now demonstrate the quick kill.
So he does get the puffs down very fast, but you heard that sound. That meant that the cycle did actually happen. So he did very well, but wasn't able to get it from the first one. He did also show us the Fire Rod quick kill, like you were just mentioning, Magus. You can either do 2 sword spins, or you can do the 2 fire rods in a sword spin. That's the fastest way, but I prefer to just do 2 sword spins myself.
Same on that one. And looks like Lyra is opting right now to pick up the powder. I didn't know they already had. I thought they already had the powder, but it's one of the choices that some players make on that one to get it now instead of Thieves' Town.
Oh, okay. So Lyra is picking up fairies elsewhere in the overworld. Oh, I see. So I think Lyra picked the time when they would upgrade their sword to get the powder.
Yes. Now, I know as a kid, I always thought you had to at least transition for the screen to get this, but apparently you can just, go and just warp and then warp back, and you will actually be able to pick up your temper sword right then and there.
Well, with Swamp Palace down, our runners do need to pick up their Ether Medallion. They need to do this for a couple of different reasons. I think the most important of them is obviously they got to toss that bird, but we also needed to get into the actual dungeon itself. We do get to see from Lyra a half magic pickup. This is going to be a great safety for a couple of these remaining boss fights.
Especially Malfila. As a kid, I always thought Malfila and Trinex must be killed with the rods. And looks like we'll also see the third bottle in play as well.
Oh, that's interesting. We might even get max bottles out of this. Taking a quick look at our inventories here. Looks like all of our runners are in a good place with bombs and arrows.
Bombs, arrows, picking up the popsicle on zer0rush's side.
I'm never going to be able to unthink that name now.
Well, think about it. It's a really cold rod. It's almost like a popsicle. What would you go? It's just like, it makes sense.
The OG snow cone.
I guess that works too.
Yo, but we're going to get our first bird toss of the match. I have faith in you, Solidus. No! Solidus has no love for the memes, has all the love for the frames.
Very true. I know I've just basically, at one point, just basically killed the bird, so I've basically killed off the meme right off the back.
Oh man, we're 0-2 at that 0-2. I've been seeing a lot of bird slashes. You're right. I mean, that's actually come up a lot recently. Wasting the time and the bird at the same time.
Well, hey, if you got to run past it and it coming towards you, might as well just, slice it to death. Now, will Kothor give us the bird toss?
While we're waiting on that, looks like zer0rush had a little bit of trouble with Meyer too. That's a room that you definitely want your sword beams for, but even then, it's a very difficult room to clear out effectively.
Very true. While Lyra is on their way to pick up their big key in Skullwoods, and they will be heading to pick up their fire rod.
All right, well, I'm feeling a little bit disappointed in our runners for nobody bird tossing. Let's hope Lyra's still with it.
Agreed.
One thing that our runners are going to, well, in the community in general, kind of if you're a pretty fast, consistent runner, you're looking at these torches that they're passing by here in Misery Mire, kind of using that as a benchmark. Usually there's about 20 to 21 minutes left in your run if you're going to do everything pretty consistently. If that is the case, if zer0rush has a good GT and Turtle Rock, we're looking at a potential sub 130 here.
Very true. Very, very true. In fact, if he gets very good RNG, he might even PB again. It's still not out of the realm of possibility for him.
Speaking of that, I want to just update the audience on where our PBs were going into the tournament. zer0rush entering the tournament had a 129. He has a 127 now, due to that recent PB earlier today, which, congrats again, by the way. Lyra walked in with a 2 hour, 14 minutes, and 23 time. Whereas Solidus has a 127.25 and Kothor a 130.19. So all these runners are on a fantastic pace.
Very true. Kothor picking up his big key and then on his way to pick up the Cane of Samaria. zer0rush just about to pick up his Cane of Samaria. And I will not meme the cane. I will not meme. I will not meme. I will not meme.
You know, but I mean, when it comes to the items that you got to use in the first basement room, though, I mean, it's got to be the cane, right?
Very true. Very true.
I'm a big fan, though, of the cane dash that we get to see ahead. Are you familiar with how to explain how that works?
I usually don't do it myself, but if I recall correctly, I think it is just basically a straight-up item dash.
And it looks so good.
True. Just like how the bow dash and the fire rod dash.
Solidus attempted it and unfortunately missed it off screen just barely. It looks like zer0rush got it. You'll notice both of them drop their last remaining bomb before they throw the one they need for the wall. They're going to do this to switch to the fire rod automatically. If you had powder, you'd actually accidentally switch to that instead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Lyra getting wall mastered.
Ooh, that's rough.
Oh, no.
Weren't they just about to walk into Mothula?
Yes.
Well, the one good thing about that is that this dungeon isn't too long, and with half magic, Lyra should be able to recover.
Very true.
Here in the Vitreous fight, it's safest for our runners to actually take damage. They're going to, well, you just saw them both do it. Kolthor will be the next to attempt it. Our runners are going to stand in the poisonous goo to take 1 heart of damage. This gives them a certain number of invincibility frames. If they charge up a spin and walk into the eyeballs, they can release that spin and hit a whole bunch of them at once. Doing so optimally, you can lose as few as 4 hearts and take them all out. The very best way to do that fight is to have 0 cycles, basically, where there's 0 lightning attacks. If you pull that off, that's a very fast fight.
And actually, fun fact, Vitreous in the technical term is actually the goo for the eyeballs, not the eyeballs themselves.
Interesting.
It's a fun real-world fact that I thought I'd throw in.
See, now I'm gonna go look up the proper usage of the word vitreous. But on the bright side, Lyra did actually finish up Mothula. It took a fairy revival, but immediately finished things up afterwards, making great use of that fire rod. And Kolthor is also done with vitreous, surviving 3 hearts.
Very true.
Well, so what's next for our runners?
More than likely going to Turtle Rock to finally see Zelda. Actually, I shouldn't say Turtle Rock because it's more Fraggle Rock than anything else.
Solidus was attempting to do the Waffle House drive-through there. Didn't keep the spins or the hook dash speed, unfortunately. Appears to have jumped off the bridge in frustration. That's sometimes dead rocks make you feel that way.
Very true.
All right, so Magus, we saw Lyra finish up Skull Woods. I guess this would be the moment where we find out whether there's going to be a route divergence here.
More than likely, you will see them head towards Ice Palace.
Just got to find a good place to warp first. For reference, if you're picking up this run, you can warp as soon as you exit the Skull Woods entrance there. You don't have to move.
On zer0rush's side, you will see him entering Fraggle Rock, and Solidus is opening the entrance to that, and Kolthor will be there in, about I'd say maybe 20 to 30 seconds. If that.
Yo, but Solidus gets the Quake Dash. We didn't get the super speed out of it, but because we were in that one glitch state, we didn't activate the super speed. We are able to quick hop off that ledge. Kind of obscure, doesn't really save a lot of time, but kind of cool to do.
Very, very true.
zer0rush gets to put the hookshot on display.
Yeah, we can never really tell if the devs intended that or not, but I know from experience, I'm just going to say they probably did.
Oh, you mean the invincibility when you're using hookshot?
Oh no, I was referring to just the hook shotting a torch and then falling off.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of funny how that works out. I mean, they give you two different paths to go through that room, a couple of ways to mess it up, you know, those extra little side things there, possibly to recover it too. But, you know, all these years, I never knew you could just grab the torch and save yourself all that effort.
Very true.
Oh, did you happen to see if we got the fairy drop?
I don't think they've got it yet. Though I know zer0rush just got through his Chomp's room. Solidus is just about through his Chomp's room. And Kothor will be entering his Chomp's room in about maybe 5 to 10 seconds.
Those chomps hit like tanks, so it's very good for our runners to get through it.
They take a bite out of Link. Well, let me rephrase it. They take a bite out of crime.
It looks like Kothor did get his fairy drop. I mean, it makes sense. I think Link has burgled into every single dungeon so far.
Not just that, but he's considered a criminal by the palace guards, by Aghanim.
That's true. He has his own
Zelda,
sign
though.
in town. Turtle Rock is one of those places where we can sometimes see a separation between runners who do and don't have powder. It's very tempting to pick up, you know, to powder these anti-fairies pretty much every time you pass them, even if you've only taken a little bit of damage. That can actually add up over the course of the dungeon. Our runners, if they have powder, do want to avoid using it until they absolutely have to.
Then again, I do know that a common trick for a lot of runners that I've seen in this tournament has been actually pulling off the fake powder glitch. Discovered, what, last year thanks to the randomizer?
I believe so. Very obscure tech that has been it's been adopted more recently. There is one trade-off though. You do get to, well, you have to skip all of the menu skips that you normally get from using your last bomb. Besides that drawback though, it's really great clutch safety if you don't have, you know, powder normally. You don't have to pick up the powder, for example. That's something you get to avoid. Looks like Lyra is going to get the shield upgrade. Either that or a potion.
Red boomerang and shield.
Hey, the lagarang.
Well, as long as they're having fun and beating the game fast, I think we're all happy there.
Hey, you got that right.
I
It's
mean
fun to
that
see
very
the different
nicely.
strategies.
Very, very true. Think we'll see them picking up a potion as well.
I mean, if you're already there. That depends if Lyra knows about it, though. That's a little obscure. We're getting good laser skips out of everybody. Very close laser skips with no health. zer0rush gave me a heart attack. He did not take that safety door.
Very, very true. But knowing his skill level, he will probably be able to handle that. Ah, there's his fairy drop.
What an amazing drop. Keep in mind, it is a 50-50 drop if we do the manipulation right, but, I mean, still.
And Solidus choosing to do the front door strats for Trinex, or as I like to call him, Mean Joe Green. Will we see the backdoor strats from zer0rush? Apparently, yes.
The big danger of going this route is that the spikes have a little bit of a chance to kind of mess up your attack.
Mean Joe Green down for Solidus. So he has finally found his Zelda.
Yeah, after all this time, we're not even done with the game once we actually save Zelda.
And Trinex is down on zer0rush's side.
Quintus in chat asking about Lyra being behind. There's a combination of taking a bunch of extra safeties. There have been a couple of fairy revival deaths. But overall, we haven't seen any big route diversions yet besides those safeties. However, this is a great chance to showcase Lyra's gameplay because all 3 of our other runners are in Crystal Sync right now.
Very true. Not just any Crystal Sync. They're basically talking to Zelda again.
Now, how often is it that you get 7 Zeldas on the same screen?
Probably not a lot. You'll see Solidus and zer0rush in about 5 to 10 seconds entering Ganon's tower. Well, this makes me wonder, how the heck do those maidens break the barrier on Ganon's tower?
I think that one's probably about as well explained as it is in Ocarina of Time.
Very, very true.
On the bright side, though, we do get to see Lyra attempt this bomb jump. We didn't get the Palace of Darkness hammer jump, so it'd be good to see if we can pull this off here.
Come on, Lyra. You can do it. You've lined up?
Yeah, that looked perfect.
They got it.
Gotta watch out for that fire bar. Being careful, though, that's good. You can grab the wall directly south of the fire bar to help prevent some of the extra damage, but some people just elect to bonk off the wall there or simply walk around.
And Lyra's through with their bomb jump, which is amazing.
So tell me a little bit about Ganon's tower here. What's our overall goal?
Well, make it to the top of the tower, basically beat Aghanim again, and then basically want to bacon. So that does mean that we have to stop and battle the 3 little bosses again. Armos on ice, land moles with a fireball shooter, and Trolldorm on a different set of platforms.
It's like the inverted Trolldorm fight. Like, there's so much more space you can fall, and it's like, you know, terrible. So exactly that, though. It's a remix of all of these light world bosses we already fought, and this is a great way for, in a casual run, for our runners to, well, for anybody playing this game, to really feel like they powered up over the course of this game.
Did you see what chat was playing?
Well, I guess one way to look at it is if you count the small key drops, then this becomes a more interesting game. But unfortunately, there's an exact number of chests we're going to be picking up in this dungeon.
Very, very true.
Now, my question is, are we going to get the Armos stagger technique out of zer0rush here? And Solidus, who is at the same point.
I don't know.
Yep, we get the left-facing arrows out of both of them, so they get the much easier quick kill. All the while, we see Lyra taking great advantage of using the Fire Rod against Cold Stare. Things got a little bit out of hand as they got away from Lyra. However, with a good sword spin here, we should be able to emerge unscathed. I think we have an extra fairy as well.
I think they also have a blue potion as well. And 2 of the eye puffs are down.
All right, I was worried there.
Agreed. So, all 3 of our other runners are approaching Ganon Ball Z. Basically, the long corridor with a lot of Ganon Balls, which has 37 different patterns, if I recall.
On their approach, we're seeing some really great mimic rooms so far. See if Kolthor can pull off the same exact fast kill in this room. And wow, these are very close.
Wait, did Solidus get the complete dash through on the cannonballs?
I think he might have stutter stepped at one point, but yeah, I mean, he was pretty much going right through. Our runners are fast approaching a section of the game that we call the Gauntlet. As they take the staircase up from Ganon Ball Z, they're going to have a bunch of kill rooms. These kill rooms can be handled pretty well by throwing pots, using fire rod, arrows, and simply slashing. You just got to watch out because these conveyor belts make it very difficult. If that weren't bad enough, we got ice all over the floor in the last segment of Gauntlet 1. But we also get to say hi to an old friend.
Yep, Landmolai. Or it's Landmolus. But then what's the plural for Landmolus? Landmolai?
I'm inclined to agree, but I think actually the full name is the pluralized name. Like, I think maybe like a single one would be a Lammola.
Not sure. Either way, Solidus gets his Landballus fight 2 done. zer0rush gets them done. Nice and easy. And Kothor is just now entering. And looks like we will see all 4 bottles picked up. You called it.
Yo, the 4 bottle meta. I love it. We also get a really great snapshot as to where the Cane of Samaria makes an effective weapon. Here in the Wizrobe rooms, they're all going to spawn and despawn in the same time frame. If they place a Samaria block, as you see on Kothor's screen, and explode it correctly, they can take care of the entire room in one fell swoop. And we'll get 2 of those in a row, so very handy technique.
Good. Neither zer0rush or Solidus got the worst glitch in the game, which is essentially despawning all of Ganon's tower.
Yeah, the game doesn't really like it when you have a torch room expire to open the door as you go up a set of staircases. It does not like that at all, so Kothor here needs to not go up the stairs too fast. Oh, and zer0rush with the hover!
Nice! Hover
I think I've
strats
seen 3
everywhere.
hovers today. Alright, so all in all, though, I mean, how much time do you really save doing that?
I'm pretty sure someone in chat can answer that, but I think it's actually a decent amount of time.
Yeah, because otherwise we gotta wait for Moldorm to, detonate all of his C4 explosives.
And a triple on zer0rush's side.
That's incredible. Oh, and he was a little bit too far forward to get the double triple. He actually had a pattern he could get it with.
Either way, he takes down Aghanim.
Yeah, that 3 cycles
Solidus-
great.
Solidus is just about done his Agatu fight.
And not very far behind him, keeping in mind that it's Kothor against Solidus in the bottom screen. Kothor did take a Moldorm to fall, so he is behind by Aghanim. This is still a tight race, though. Anything that goes wrong with Ganon, even 1 death or a fall, could easily swing this around. This is a very tight race, folks.
Very true. What's zer0rush's current PB?
zer0rush was 127XX. I don't know exactly the seconds. He got it today.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out whether or not he had a chance at possibly improving on that one.
Well, I mean, he is still in a pace that beats his old Zelda speedruns, or not Zelda speedruns, speedracing.com leaderboard time, but that's obviously going to get updated after this tournament, of course.
Very true. And Solidus on his Ganon fight, as Kothor is just about to enter his in about, I think, 1 more cycle.
zer0rush with only 2 hearts left can't take any damage from any source. He is in 1-hit KO mode, but he did make it to phase 3, so presuming he does his slashes or his spin attacks very well in phase 4 and gets the torch glitch, he should be able to finish this out, but anything can happen here.
Very, very true. And Solidus is just about to his phase 4, while Kothor just gets done Agatu, so Agatu down, and he's on Bacon.
Kothor is in a rough spot, though, with only 4 hearts remaining. It's hard to say whether it's worth it to pick up the fairy here.
Depends. What's Solidus's and Kothor's current PBs?
Solidus's current PB, as far as I know, should be a 127.25.
Okay, and Kothor, isn't he at like 130?
Yeah, 130.19. Looks like zer0rush has finished off Ganon with 2 hearts left. What a G. GG's in the chat, please.
Kothor's going for it, and I can't, and I understand completely for this one. Going for the PB.
What a madman. Oh no. While he makes his attempt on Ganon again, just to give everybody an update on the times for these two races that just finished, zer0rush has finished with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 55 seconds. Solidus is right behind him at 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 20 seconds. That's a 35-second difference. Holy smokes. I'm sorry, 25.
Good. It's good. Do you want to see about getting them into chat? Well, in here for an interview?
Absolutely, that sounds amazing. Help us cheer on the remaining two runners.
Very true.
Meanwhile, Kolthor did actually opt to pick up the fairy at the bottom of the pyramid, or I believe so. Yeah, definitely making his next attempt on Ganon, though. The idea here, though, just since we didn't really get to explain the fight, is we want to get 12 slashes or the comparable amount of spin slashes, which would be 6, against Ganon in each phase to advance the phase for phase 1, 2, and 4. For phase 3, you only have to hit him 4 times, which you can do just by simply hitting him before he does his Fire Bat spin. We managed to make it through phase 1, which was the Trident. Phase 2 was the Fire Bat Circle, and now we're in phase 3. As long as you make it to phase 3, you're usually in pretty good shape, presuming you don't get hugged or take any Fire Bat damage. It would appear that we should be able to get Solidus and zer0rush into the comms with us. Give us just one moment. And it would appear we are joined by zer0rush. zer0rush, GG, and congrats on your victory.
Same to you, Solidus.
Hey, Zero, congrats.
Hello, hello, good games.
Yeah, GG to the pair of you.
It was a
Very
roller
impressive
coaster.
to see in a tournament setting that both of you managed to sub 130. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, the Dark World was something special.
Yeah, this is my I think second one. I think my first race was 129.40-ish. So it's nice to improve that.
Not only that, but those are great seeding times.
Yeah.
Actually,
Very
this is only my second sub 130 since like 2015, so I'll take it.
Anytime you can get it is always worth it.
Well, by the looks of things, zer0rush, this should put you in a commanding position for your group. Judging by the looks of things, you're the only one with 2 wins, and I believe this sets you to advance, barring any really unforeseen tiebreaks that I don't see here.
Yeah. I thought, did Chalmers not play all his matches yet besides me? I can't remember who might have.
No, Chalmers has only done 1.
Oh, okay.
So I guess this puts you in the bubble.
Yeah, I think as long as Chalmers beats Lyra, then we'll have 2 advancing, or if Chalmers loses or beats me, it'll be like a tiebreaker, potentially.
You know what's crazy is I think Solidus, you have the exact same position in your group.
Yeah, I got 1 more to go. I haven't actually looked at the records lately. Just been a busy week.
Yeah, no worries.
And
Just update. We got 2.
GG to Kothor as well.
And Felix have 1 each, and Greenman has 2 losses.
Sorry to interrupt you, man, but GG to Kothor, who also takes down Ganon
GG.
with an official speed race in TV time of 1 hour 30 minutes and 55 seconds.
GG's.
We'll see if we can get him into the race as well. I just want to ask you real quick, Zero. I think I saw a mirror in Palace of Darkness. Was that from trying to switch to the mirror before crossing the bomb gap?
You know, it's this new route I wanted to try out. I wanted to see if it was faster. Turns out it's about a minute slower, so I wouldn't recommend that.
Well, no taken. You know, if I ever think I'm going to get sub 130, then I'm sure that's going to be a little bit more important for me. But I mean, even then, you still recovered with a really fantastic time after that. I heard your PB earlier today. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a 127.55 in the weekly with a Hera bomb jump fall. So my splits right now actually look ridiculous. Like after Hera, it's minus 50. And then I had 6 blue balls and a bad tower, and then it goes back down to minus 6, and then plus 105. So it's all over the place.
Still, GG, man. And it looks like on Lyra's side, they are opting to pick up the Butter Sword and Silver Arrows.
Alright, well, it's about midnight for me, so I gotta head to bed, but thanks for commentating. Good games, everyone, and thanks for watching. I'm gonna head out.
Thanks for the great race.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Very good race.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready for work too. Take care, everybody.
Right.
Have a pleasant evening, man. So let's cheer on Lyra as they keep working through. I think they've got to go to Swamp now. Yes, looks like they are opting to go to pick up the Butter Sword and Silver Arrows before Swamp. Of course, seeing the quote-unquote double-tested fairy, picking up their cheese, and they'll on their way to kill a giant jellyfish. Gotta have to say, it's actually been a pleasure to actually provide some commentary with you, man.
Hey, absolutely. My pleasure to have an opportunity to do a quad race with you. It's fun to keep up with 4 racers, but I think you handled it pretty well.
And not a problem. So, chat, let's all cheer on Lyra as they are just about to enter Swamp Palace. I do not want to jinx them, but they are on a very decent pace for something that I think they will be happy with.
Oh yeah, let's get those Go Lyra Goes in the chat. I'm frantically looking for the thing that Scrivo usually copy-pastes.
Which, he pastes a lot.
I'm a big fan. When I was racing it, it was really encouraging.
Of course, I still find it weird that the credits for this game are still in English. I mean, it is the Japanese version, after all.
That's a really tough one to answer. I wish I had a good sense of how that was localized, because I mean, like, it's not like that was, you know, like a localization thing. That was just literally the original card.
Very, very true. Though at least it did make it a lot easier for translating it, because they didn't have to translate most of the credits.
Yeah, that's actually quite a lot of the text in the game, come to think of it.
Agreed.
Maybe it was a budget decision for the international release.
More than likely, but who knows?
So one of the nice things that Lyra here gets to take advantage of is having Gold Sword makes pretty much everything a one-hit kill. I mean, we were already in good shape with the Tempered Sword, but Swamp Palace, it just becomes a little bit ridiculous. We'll also see this get used to great effect against Argus, who we may actually see a Silver Arrow against.
Silver Arrow in this case will be literally as long as it connects, it will kill Argus in one hit.
One of those great advantages of having Silver Arrow is these boss fights become a little more trivial.
Very, very true. I know I'm a fan of at least, considering picking it up just because, it is somewhat of a little bit of a time loss, but at the same point, it does make the Ganon fight so much better.
Yeah, that actually saved a PB run for me recently. I ended up with like a 4.5-minute PB. Well, also I haven't had any good runs, so I can't really, blame it on that. But I could have lost, another 5 minutes. My first race in this tournament, I did lose that much time because I had taken repetitive Ganon deaths. So the biggest thing for our newer runners out there is just make sure you can finish your run. That's the most important thing.
Very, very true. I mean, I know I still take at least the Silver Arrows just because, honestly, I don't want to deal with Phase 4 because I've missed the Torch Glitch too many times to, really want to not screw up a run that, I, can actually still PB on.
One other thing that a lot of people who are having like issues with the Ganon fight, because I'm personally one of these people, I got to figure out all these different RNGs for the warps. But one thing when you get into Phase 4 that may help with the Torch Glitch is Ganon's Fire Bats that he does at the beginning of that cycle will always track Link's position where he's standing. So what you can do is you kind of go a little bit off to the side to kind of divert the Fire Bats. Once you see them in motion, then you can kind of line up for the lamp. But depending on where Ganon warps, that can actually be impossible.
Well, basically, also the easiest way to get the Torch Glitch is, remember, you can spam the lamp. And also a fun fact, it's actually still in the US version.
I didn't know that, so that's 1.1, that's available in 1.1.
Yes, it is. 1.2, though, it was fixed.
Yeah, I want to say, is it EOD Tex who's the one who's running 1.1 in this tournament?
Not sure. I know at one point I did hear Dark Magician was supposed to be on 1.2, but don't quote me there.
Yeah, just to clarify for the folks out there who are considering playing this with your original Link to the Past cart, you absolutely can. There's nothing stopping you from playing the English version. Well, actually, I'm not sure if the rules are different with PAL because of frame rate. But, I mean, the different versions of the game are completely fine to play. Don't even sweat it. You do get the best time saves out of Japanese version, of course, and some of these exclusive glitches, but there's definitely no reason to not play this game.
Agreed. And to answer your question, apparently PAL is allowed.
Hey, I appreciate that clarification. Some games do run at different frame rates because of the region, so that's a good thing to reassure our European viewers.
Agreed. Agreed.
With this, Lyra does have the Argus fight. We'll see if there's if Lyra bothers to change to Silver Arrows. You can also kill. Yeah, it looks like they're gonna try a sword spin because it's very easy to kill Argus with the sword here.
If I recall correctly, it is still 2 sword spins, but even so, and what do you know? Argus is down. Didn't even get time to explain all of that before it was gone.
Hey, that's the best thing about a speedrun is that they're running so quick that, we don't really get the time for it. That's how you know it's been done right.
Agreed.
Well, so I was a little behind on Lyra's side about completion so far. Do we still have Misery Mire?
She has Butter Sword, so Misery
Exactly.
Mire's is down.
All right, so then it should be just Turtle Rock, and I believe we've already picked up the Ice Rod. I hope we've already picked up the Ice Rod.
Agreed there. I'll tell you, when I was trying to break the 2-hour mark, one of the things that just annoyed the heck out of me was getting to Trinex, going into the fight, and then basically getting to the big key door for there, and pausing to change over to Fire Rod, and just realizing, oh wait, I don't have the Ice Rod. Nope, they still need to go collect the Ice Rod.
I'm also getting notification that Colthor will be joining us just a moment in the comms. We'll see if we can bring him in.
Sure thing. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Lyra, remember, you don't have the Ice Rod!
Uh-oh. We were joined by Colthor the Barbarian. GG, Colthor. That's Grace.
Oh, I got a big chunk of choke stuck in my throat. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Oh, I got that little Ag 2 just stuck in there, man.
Hey,
Ouch.
I know that feeling, man. I know that feeling.
Well, hey, I mean, definitely put up a great time, though. I mean, now we're 32, well, sub 133 at this, juncture. That's still a fantastic time for seeding.
Yeah, it would have been. I think I would have PB'd. It's hard to tell without my splits, but if someone told me I was only 15 behind going into Ganon, 15 seconds-ish, if that sounds about right. I wasn't watching.
That appears to be the case. I think that the speedrun.com leaderboard that you have puts you at an hour 30:19.
Yeah, for my PB, so I guess I'm not using regular splits. I wasn't sure if I was ahead or behind going into Ganon. But, I mean, overall, I was pretty pleased. Everything between Cold Snare and Ag 2, I was really happy with.
Sorry to interrupt you, but does anybody know if we're allowed to actually remind Lyra they need the Ice Rod?
I'm not 100% certain on the rule on that one.
I'm not sure either. Alda's err on the side of, I wish I could, but it is what it is.
Uh-oh, they selected Fire Rod. They should know. Well, hey, Colthor, so this is your second match in your group, I believe. You have a third one remaining. Who do you have to still play?
I have Felix TC.
Ah, Felix the cat. The wonderful, wonderful cat.
So if this is updated, then this is for your tournament destiny with this next race, then.
Yes, indeedy. I knew it was going to be a tough race versus Solidus. I know he's been around a long time, and he's got a pretty solid time, at least a much better PB than me, but it was I'm glad I was able to keep it close.
It was very exciting. You guys were within a screen of each other for the vast majority of the race, so I mean, we were on at the edge of our seats for pretty much the entire thing.
Oh, wow. I'm about to go back and watch the race. That sounds exciting.
It really was. I mean, like, there were points where you guys were literally synced frame for frame. Same with you and Zer0rush as well. So all three of you guys were really close together.
Great. And apparently, Lyra got, our message and is going to get the Ice Rod.
All right. Hero moment from Hiei.
Alright, well, I'm going to peace out. Thanks for the race, guys. Good luck, Lila. You got this, I believe.
And Grey Race, thanks for hopping in for the comms, and thanks for putting this on for us.
Anytime. You guys take care.
At least Lyra, is picking up the Ice Rod now. At least they didn't get all the way to Cold Stare. Not Cold Stare. Trinex and realize it. Because I think we've all made that mistake at least once.
Definitely. Yep. Not a very fun place to be.
I've heard a lot of our good runners have at least done that once or twice.
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, like the saltier you're going to get about it depends on how far into Turtle Rock you get. Because, I mean, it's one thing if you notice it after, like, you know, getting the key in the roller room, or, like, you know, right after you die to Chomps or something, or you're trying to switch items to Chomps. You get all the way to Trinex's front door, and, ugh.
Very true. Very, very true. Dare I say it? I think Lyra still has a chance to PB with this run.
We definitely need a really good Ganon's Tower and the rest of Turtle Rock here, but with Gold Sword and Silver Arrows, that is a very good possibility.
I 100%, you know, I'm rooting for them on this run. Lyra already having their key is making their way to the chain chop room with blue potion and 3 fairies. They should be good to go for all of Turtle Rock.
Certainly, and hopefully if we don't have to use this this blue potion, then we should have a lot of safety for Ganon. This would secure the PB pretty easily. Moldarm's probably going to be the one thing that would be the biggest time loss here. Or potentially Agatha. I don't know how that fight is.
Oh, nice block technique from Lyra.
Well, we might call this a brute force method using that fairy, but I mean, if it gets you through.
I 100% agree. There are just some times where it's just like, just take the death, just brute force the game. It's not going to be the prettiest, but it will get you, but it will get the job done.
We have chat asking about Lyra's PB. Lyra's PB is 2 hours and 14 minutes and 23 seconds, so we have a really great PB opportunity here. I mean, potentially by as much as 10 minutes.
Which would be great.
That's such a huge PB. Oh my god.
Hey, I've seen bigger, and then again, I've seen smaller. Even if it's just by a frame, a new PB is a new PB.
They're just phrasing.
Sorry. Sorry. I didn't even realize that one.
Well, so just to conveniently segue away from my bad joke here, just to tell everybody a little bit about what to expect from the NMG tournament going into tomorrow. Monday, April 9th, if we're working with Eastern Standard Time, just as a reference, we have our first match of the day at 12 p.m. That's going to be Salatman92 versus Langshan, our fellow co-commentator. We'll have Zelda actually on the comms for that. At 3 p.m., we have Chex Human versus Vascos. That'll also be on Speed Gaming 2 as well as the first race. Later on in the day, at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., we also have matches with Ninban versus ACMLM and Space Cat Universe versus Barn Owl. Those getting a few of our other favorite commentators, Oglib and Parisian Player. Very exciting content still to go here in the NMG tournament. We have I'd say about 40 or 50 matches left. Does that sound about right?
You really haven't checked on that one, but I do know that there are still plenty of matches, to come on that one. And I think also basically there's going to be a lot of A Link to the Past coming up in the next week.
That was just the NMG.
Yeah, I know they just announced the pairings for the randomizer tournament, and if I recall correctly, there are already a few matches scheduled for that one too.
Actually, I took a look at it because I did sign up for comms for that, and man, their schedule's bigger than the NMG schedule already.
Wow. I know I should have to make my first match for that one, but Lyra picking up the Riot Shield.
With that riot shield, we're going to go through, you know, the laser bridge later on. Right now, we're in the roller room with the key. Very easy to lock yourself in here if you accidentally throw a Samaria block. I learned that the hard way recently.
It happens, but you know, at least not. You know, at least basically, it's very easy to recover from.
Hey, speaking of the invincibility frames you were talking about earlier with the hook shot, that dark maze is a great place for it if you're feeling like you're in a rough spot here, because the laser bridge skip that a lot of runners would do coming up would require that health as a safety. Because Lyra has the mirror shield, or the riot shield, as you so appropriately called it, we don't have to worry about these lasers at all, but we'll take the safety door just in case. This is great for preserving that PB.
I 100% agree. I'm not going to use the quote I've heard from a few runners about the nickname for that door, but either way, it is still a very useful door.
I mean, I'm going to start calling it the PB door. Press bomb for PB.
I'll just call it the outdoor.
All jokes aside, though, you know, if you're very consistent at the, you know, try next fight, if you can get through the laser skip without, you know, taking any damage, you don't necessarily have to take that safety, but it is very costly to die here.
Very, very true. Very, very true.
Well, let's see how the try next fight goes. It appears to be opted for the ice at first.
That's because most likely the ice physics is something that a lot of runners do not want to deal with.
Shrinek's giving like the most difficult movement possible.
Oh, both heads are down. They're down to just the, you know, green wiggly. What is Shrinek? Is he a worm?
I've been thinking about that because it's almost like he's Onyx in this phase from Pokemon, but he also is kind of like a Hydra.
Very true. And Trinex is down on Lyra's side. And
hey, now I want to ask you, are you familiar with this? Do you know why that heart spawns in the center of the room?
I do not. Do you?
I do, actually. So this is an interesting detail, and I always wondered about that. So apparently it's possible for Trinex to get pushed out of bounds, and because of that, Nintendo, when designing this game, realized, well, we got to spawn it in the center of the room or else they might miss out on this heart piece and potentially never get the crystal.
Wow, I did not realize that.
I don't think it happens with any other bosses, to my knowledge.
I'm not sure about that one. I don't think so on that one, though I could be wrong there.
Hey, but at an hour and 58 minutes, Lyra's on their way to Ganon's Tower for the final dungeon of the game. This is exciting.
Yes, it is. It's still on very good pace for a new PB as well.
Yeah, this is crushing one of my earlier runs, that's for sure.
Agreed. Agreed.
You know, it's amazing to see how fast these runners improve over the course of the tournament. Lyra walked in with that PB, so that may not even be the fastest time we see out of Lyra this tournament.
That is 100% true. Okay, so this is a strat, I guess. Never thought about it, but The right side is technically faster. Most players just don't want to have to deal with the tile room.
Yeah, and they both go to the same place, so nothing wrong with taking the right side. Very interesting to see it in a run, though. Oh, the double kill.
Always worth it. And making it through the first torch room.
Yeah, that was pretty slick.
And the Gipto room.
Pretty good overall so far. Might have been fighting some rando instincts there.
I think we've all had some random instincts at some point in this game.
That's part of the reason that I stepped away from it for so long is just, there's no way to do this speed run if I kept checking every chest. I don't think we've had any extra chest checks with Lyra, though, so that's pretty good overall.
I think they picked up the map in Turtle Rock, but that was it.
Oh, no, I've done that one.
And making it across. Beautiful invisible room dash.
Now, with these silver arrows, this should be a relatively easy fight. The only thing that can make this really difficult is the ice physics itself, so we'll have to pay attention to how Lyra positions themselves in the screen, because that's going to impact how fast we can do this fight.
Very, very true.
So, Magus, would you buy tickets to Armos on Ice?
Maybe. Depending on what the other acts in the show would be.
All right, but what soundtrack do they use when they're skating across the arena here?
Probably some of the Zelda music.
Oh, of course, but I mean, what do you think really exemplifies the Armos night?
I would normally say boss music, but that's a tough one. What would you say?
I'm thinking, it can't be from something later, so I'm thinking the Hyrule Castle theme.
I mean, I do know, at least I think I remember, that they do appear in one of the later games, but I forget which. Apart from A Link Between Worlds.
And of course, various iterations of enemies that are similar. We do get to see the red mail out of Lyra. This is kind of be expected with the safeties that we've already taken, but we're going to be fully equipped walking into this Ganon fight. This will be interesting.
Agreed. Picking up the eggplant hat, as it's affectionately known.
And just a reminder, chat, cheer Lyra on. This is a big PB pace.
Agreed.
One of the nice things about all these mimics is now we don't have to have a whole bunch of arrows. We just drop one in each.
Agreed. I know I'm a fan of just using the strafe strats, which is something I did not realize was even possible until a couple months back.
One of the nice things about having this mirror shield is we can actually tank the return fire that the mimics give, so you can actually just line right in front of them. There's no reason not to, but a lot of times mirror shield is something that, because you get late in the game, you're not going to really think about doing that.
Agreed. Well, unless you're running the mirror shield category, but then again, when you pick up the mirror shield, that's time for that category.
Those partial categories, I always wonder what people do with their run after that. Oh, we got a nice invincibility frame tactic for Ganon Ball Z. That was really good.
Agreed. Lyra picking up the heart. At least you don't have to deal with those Stalfos on ice.
Yeah, the ice physics that we're going to face in Ganon's Tower are some of the most difficult in the game. Very frustrating to kind of work around.
But doing a good job with the gauntlet. In fact, a legendary gauntlet at that.
Looking pretty good so far.
Shout out to anybody that actually got that reference.
I unfortunately didn't, so you're clued into some kind of cultural thing I'm not.
No, it's just a reference to an old video game.
Oh, wow, that's an old one. Shout outs to good taste in games.
And beautiful Lemless 2 fight for Lyra.
Unfortunately, in this game, we can't spam an arrow and a save slot. Or, I'm sorry, an axe, a frozen axe and a save slot on a dragon.
True. Though shout out to Feasel, because he's actually run Gauntlet before.
That's got to be interesting to see, because, I mean, that's, you know... It's very much like this side of the game, just brought to the 3D world. Very interesting to see how games like that are impacted by games like this.
Very true. Let's go, Lyra. Do not, I repeat, do not give them the horrible RNG of getting the worst glitch in the game. Please, 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 please don't, game.
I gotta think that Lyra's probably gonna pick up the magic and... Uh-oh. Okay.
Remember, they have half magic.
I was just worrying because, like, you know, if you go right for that ladder, sometimes, you know, that's the timing.
Yeah, I know.
With that key, we won't need any more keys for the rest of the game.
And nice giant ball skip. Well, giant spike ball skip.
I like to call this room the last gas station for 500 miles before Ganon.
And pulling out the hook shot. And World 2 is down.
A lesser-known reason why we do stuff like that, where we'll, you know, do the menu a little bit early, or something like that, is because while a boss is either having...
I'm sorry, but I have to laugh at that.
The bomb cane.
Very, very, very good reasons to that one.
Lyra must really not like big 20s.
Very, very true. Oh,
all right,
going for that. Going for the swag.
Yo, this is some gutsy stuff in a PB run.
Agreed.
Oh, I think it was just a tease. It looked like at least a double. The triple may have been too close together. It's also possible it missed just barely off. So I think we need just one more. Hey, there it is.
With the net strats for all the swag.
Yep, that's right, folks. It didn't start with bottles. It didn't start with fishing rods. It never was like that. It started here in A Link to the Past with a net. Link has always had style.
Yes, though I still have to say, why, Nintendo, did you not let us actually take the Cuckoo into Ganon during Breath of the Wild? I mean, you can get it there, you just can't use it to fight Ganon.
That's sad. That's very sad. Do you want to let the audience know, though, about the difference between this Ganon fight? Now that we have gold sword and silver arrows, this becomes a much easier fight. Normally with Tempered Sword, the various phases take 12 slashes to take him down. With Gold Sword, we don't get any added advantages by doing sword spins, no extra damage, so we only need 6 slashes to advance each phase.
Agreed.
On top of that, normally we have to... Oh yeah, we have fairies, I forgot. Normally we have to do 12 sword spins on phase 4. We get to use 4 silver arrows instead.
Agreed. And Lyra's in phase 3.
This would appear to be about a 3.5-minute PB as long as everything goes well.
Actually, I think 4.
Oh yeah, no joke. Now, one thing that, yeah, we did get the torch glitch. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Not a problem.
One less commonly known thing about Ganon is that if the fire bats hit you, it actually reverses your D-pad direction, so you gotta be careful if you do take that hit.
Did not realize.
It's kind of weird, but it really hurts on a ledge.
And that's shot 3 for it.
Here we are.
GG.
PB, baby! Hey, shout-outs to Lyra in a fantastic run, getting a PB by about 3 minutes and, what, about 10 to 13 seconds? We'll have the SRTV time in just a moment.
Not sure. 2:11:21.
Hey, everybody, give her a big old GG. That was a fantastic finish. Well, I'm hoping we can get an interview out of that. That's got to be a rush. Certainly, I would think most people would have words for that.
Agreed. Agreed. Get a hold of her?
And that, folks, is why you never give up on your runs. Getting a great PB out of that, anything could have made our runners, feel discouraged about how they approached it, but all of our runners finished it out today. Did very good job with that. Still no word yet on if we can get Lyra in for the interview.
Either way, an amazing race for all of our runners. Chat, do remember, if you enjoyed this race, please give our runners a follow.
Appreciate the reminder. We're posting the links to that right now. All 4 of these runners definitely deserve your attention for watch for another race. These runners will definitely not be done with this race or this tournament. They will be continuing their speed runs, trying to drive these times down as fast as possible. Fantastic showing and effort today.
Okay, Lyra, they will be in. Just give them a small minute.
Perfect. So we want to take a look at the challenge page after that, don't we?
Up to you on that one.
So I don't know if this is current based on today's match. I believe this puts Lyra at 1-1 actually. So depending on how SNES Chalmers does in this group, I'm sure we're probably going to want to talk with Lyra about that. But we look to have a good, favorable tiebreak opportunity if we can win our next race, if this isn't the last one. I'll have to ask Lyra to be sure, though. I'm not sure if this was the 3rd race or not.
I'm not sure on that one either.
Just as a reminder to everybody about our schedule tomorrow, we have 4 different races scheduled tomorrow at 12, 3, 8, and 9 p.m. So we have a lot of NMG left for us to commentate, watch, and participate in. It looks like we are joined in commentary by Lyra with a brand new PB. Congratulations.
Yes, GG.
May need to talk with push to talk or possibly setting up right now. Leo in chat asking if I was talking about Eastern Standard Time. Yes, that was what I was referring to. Apologies for not clarifying.
Hello?
Hello, Lyra. How are you doing?
I don't know what that was.
It was a PB.
If you say so.
Hey, every PB is a real PB. Never get discouraged by that. I mean, I'm not that far ahead of you myself.
Nah, it'll be alright.
Hey, I've had worse PBs. I've literally... Well, the only reason why I have PB'd at one point was basically because my former PB had a really horrible Ganon fight. So you can imagine, it's like red, gold. Yeah, that's some PBs for you.
Well, it looked like we were pretty consistent across the entire run. We had great boss fights. You know, you took the right safeties. That really does speak to, you know, knowing your situation. Because if you had taken any of those deaths without fairies, I mean, your final time would have been a lot different.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. Considering I knew who my opponent was, I knew I wasn't going to really have much of a shot anyway, so I wanted to go for a deathless run instead.
Hey, mission accomplished. I mean, 2 hours and 11, you saved pretty much 3 minutes and about 10 seconds off of your PB. I mean, that's a huge jump. I think there are a lot of speedrunners out there feeling a little jealous about your current, you know, the state you're in right now. This is a great time to be getting those PBs.
To be honest with you, I didn't even think I was going to PB, so I kind of showed off at the end a little.
Yeah, we saw that.
And
I think May just pointed out.
Strats.
Swagnet makes everything better.
That was satisfying.
100% satisfying.
Yeah, I gotta ask though, 3 of our runners that shared the restream with you did not do a bird toss. Did you toss the bird?
No, I completely forgot.
Oh, Lyra, why?
You know me, I usually go for the memes when I can, but I didn't know I was even going to be 40 minutes off of 0, so I was just like, forgot about it.
I think he made up for it with the swag in him.
100%.
I hope so.
I just found it amazing that you put a bomb and the Samaria block on a certain chest that shall remain nameless. Classic, and very classy.
I do my best. It was for the fans.
Well, hey,
Sorry,
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask about your group. So, Lyra, is this your second or third match?
This was my second.
So you are 1-1 right now.
That I am.
That's exciting because I believe SNES Chalmers is going to be the determining member of your group. That would be the tiebreak. So if you can emerge victorious over SNES Chalmers, or did you already race SNES?
No, I did not. I don't know what their PB is either.
It looks like you have a pretty good shot to advance in this tournament. Winning that race by any means whatsoever would put you in the money. You'd be moving forward.
I actually didn't know whether the groups were going to take top 1 or top 2, so that's kind of exciting a little bit and mostly nerve-wracking.
Well, hey, you fought hard for it. I mean, you know, that's where that victory counts. So, I mean, you know, you still have a chance here, and you're putting up PBs. You know, I mean, obviously you're putting in the work.
I try to take out my SNES Mini and play on that. So, me playing on my PS4 controller on PC, you can tell where I have a lot of input failure with it.
You were doing that with a DualShock?
Yeah, it's the only thing I could afford to use, so it's not that great, honestly.
Yo, chat, can we congratulate our runner for PBing with a DualShock controller? I'm blown away.
I'm glad I was able to not disappoint.
And Deathless too. I know it took me a while to actually get, to a consistent Deathless amount on that one.
To be perfectly honest with you, I play way too much randomizer, and it shows in a lot of the random mistakes that I made.
Oh, don't worry. I think a lot of us do.
I'm just glad I'm not the only person who ever grabbed map in Turtle Rock.
I always forget which side it's on, and apparently I just need to remember right. But I think the Turtle Rock play was actually me forgetting Ice Rod, but I remembered fairly quick.
That's
Agreed.
important.
I know for me, if I'm coming from randomizer, I will try to make sure it's either one of two tests. The map in Castle or the map in Eastern Palace. I was like, oh wait, this isn't randomizer.
I completely forgot that when I went into the basement and grabbed the map there too.
Hey, speaking of the randomizer, did you sign up for this upcoming tournament?
Yeah, I believe I've already been posted an opponent.
Oh boy. So you got a lot of things coming up. Be really exciting to watch both of those tournaments for you. If I get a chance, I'd definitely like to commentate one of those matches.
I would greatly appreciate that, totally.
Hey, I'm sure May just feels the same way.
100%.
No,
Well, we're going to be watching for your next match. Did you already have that scheduled?
No, I literally just saw the standings and I haven't had a chance to talk to them yet. So this upcoming tournament is a brand new category that I haven't even tried to look at yet. I don't know what's different about it, but I think that's probably going to be part of the fun, right?
If you mean for randomizer,
Yes.
unless they've changed it to where Uncle gives you a different weapon, you're guaranteed a sword and you gotta go through escape. Everything else is basically the same.
So it's kind of like an open then?
Yeah, except you're guaranteed the sword and you have to rescue Zelda.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
It'll be fun to see how everybody handles it. I mean, there's all those new logic updates, but it's really extra special to get to see so many NMG runners taking part in it. I feel honored to be a part of either community, and the whole thing's just exploding. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this 500-person tournament goes, and before long, see how your journey run through the bracket goes. Because I feel pretty good about your chances, advancing. You just got to keep working on it.
I greatly appreciate that. I'll try not to disappoint.
Well, hey, we are approaching a pretty late hour here. We should probably wrap things up. Do you have any last comments you want to share with us, Lyra?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to doing a run of this at Everfree Northwest up here in Seattle area, and I'm looking forward to seeing more people there. I hope you both have had a really fun time with this, and I really appreciate you commentating for me.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Thanks to the fans too, and to Fizzle and Speed Gaming and everyone as well.
Speed Gaming definitely does a lot for us here. Putting a lot of people do get involved in the background here to make these things happen. So shout outs to the unnamed, unthanked voices out there. Lyra just thanked them, but I think that we should be echoing that as much as possible. Same thing to you, May. Just do you have any last comments or remarks you want to make?
Yeah, apparently I had just heard that they had started a Speed Gaming 6. I know Fiesel's reserved up to 8, but I did not think I was going to see 6 this soon.
Hey, it's exploding out there. This is just the beginning. If you folks like watching Link to the Past in any format, you're going to see a whole lot more of it if you stay tuned to the Speed Gaming family networks. With that, I think we should probably wrap things up. My name is Uday Monistic. I was joined with Magus. We also have Lyra here in the comments with us after the race. From all of us here in the Speed Gaming family networks, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
See you next mission. Love you all. Thank you.
And remember, until the Master Sword is needed again, we'll see you next time it needs to be raised to smite Ganon.
Have a good one, folks.